Welcome to Growth Happens in the Dirt, Chapter 8, Physical Health. Everyone has a doctor in him or her. We just have to help it in its work. The natural healing force within each one of us is the greatest force in getting well. Our food should be our medicine should be our food. Hippocrates. Returning from the neuro-optometrist with a newly found why, I had a sense of purpose and vigour. All the strategies from the specialists that I had been avoiding now seemed to connect and make sense. I wrote out a plan of things I should have been doing weeks ago and started to obsess on brain health. I climbed into my naturopathic studies to look at optimum nutrition. I was on a mission to get better quickly. Studying what really helped the brain. Exercise, nutrition, meditation, mindset. It was a fast inhale of information as the ADD hyperfocus clicked in. I discovered Dr. Daniel Amen and his wife Tana Amen and read their book, The Brain Warrior's Way, which brought together years of my study into a brain health focus. I ignored the no screen rule and started to acquire my Google PhD in concussion. Dr. Amen is quoted as saying, "You are not stuck with the brain you have," and I liked him a lot. Suddenly I had hope, a ton of it. It was as if a switch had been flicked on because the couch surfer attitude was gone. Although I was still in a lot of pain, ultimately I was determined with a militant focus. My brain would be better. Even though it hurt, and it would have been easier to not do it, I clenched my teeth to get moving again. I was finally listening to the specialist's advice after weeks of avoiding doing the work. I had started earlier in the journey on a stationary bike on the advice of the physiotherapist, but after a few minutes I would feel sick. Yet the research told me that I needed high intensity exercise, so I needed to push through the nausea and get the heart pumping. My new routine was that in the morning I got up and did 30 minutes of high intensity exercise to oxygenate my brain. Hill climbs, bear crawls, intermittent training on the bike. Initially it made me nauseous and my knee ached, but then I started to notice an improvement in my energy level for the day. Moving more meant I had more, and the cognitive wheels started to turn from just dedicating part of my day to moving the body. I did the planning and pacing that Vicky recommended and changed back to a low carbohydrate diet, which had been my mainstay for years, just to see what effect it would have on my brain. I removed all processed food and I learnt how the gut can be leaky after a head injury and how we must adjust and supplement to heal. I drilled over concussion research until my brain throbbed. What helps my brain? What harms my brain? I used a heart monitor to ensure that I was getting my heart rate up enough to have benefit. My friend and I would get up at 5:30 every morning and do hill climbs. I'd have a good protein breakfast, and by the time the kids were off to school in the morning, I was back in the cupboard for my brain break. I had found my why. Finally, after months of suffering, the light was shining at the end of a very long tunnel. Thank you, Brenton, and thank you to the team of specialists. I had found the key to my door. Even things with my husband were better, as I was no longer clawing at him or micromanaging his day by focusing on managing myself. Inch by inch, I started to help with daily chores, dinners, and things were going well. I was growing in the dirt, and the fixation with brain health was keeping my mind entertained instead of thinking about the constant pain in my skull. Tools. Move your body. In my past life, I worked as a personal trainer, so I had a good understanding of exercise. Yet at the time, it didn't extend to brain health. I knew about dopamine, but moving was more for keeping the body fit, not for the brain. Depending on the severity of your original injury, exercise may not be available to you at this time. But the key factor we need to consider for brain health is that oxygen is the panacea for rejuvenating the brain. The reframe is movement is for my brain. If you cannot physically exercise, then looking into hyperbaric oxygen therapy would be an alternative. For exercise, the best way to start if you have any balance issues like I did is to begin by using a stationary exercise bike. This takes away any risk of falling, and you can monitor your heart rate as you go. In the beginning, you may feel nauseous. Just go to your edge, and the next day increase the time a little more. The goal is to elevate your heart rate. Depending on your physical capacity currently, choose an activity that works for you. What I would suggest is to remove all barriers. Time can often be a barrier, and so can travelling somewhere to exercise. My morning routine would involve getting up in my sleepwear and hopping straight onto the bike. I started with 4 2-minute exercise sessions during the day until I felt conditioned, not triggered. If you can, physical exercise should be a daily non-negotiable, depending on the severity of your injuries. The key is to get your heart rate elevated for at least 20 minutes per day, pushing much needed oxygen into your brain. This can be done in 2 10-minute chunks or using the Tabata method for 1 10-minute chunk. The Tabata method can be a fantastic way to start. So, how it works. You warm up for 2 minutes, then for 6 minutes, you work hard for 20 seconds, slower for 10 seconds, and you repeat this cycle for 6 minutes. It may be that you jog on the spot for 20 seconds, walk for 10 seconds, or you may have some other type of exercise. Even if you're working on the stationary bike, you pedal harder for 20 seconds, slower for 10 seconds for a cycle of 6 minutes, and then you warm down for 2 minutes. Tool, nutrition, the largest piece of the puzzle. As a naturopath, I've tried many ways of eating over the years. Vegetarian, vegan, keto, paleo, and being a binge consumer of junk. In my 20s, I was overweight and had fatty liver disease, which was my catalyst to study natural medicine. Yet never in all of my study did I consider or learn about the impact of food on the brain. You'll notice this is a very large chapter because you are what you eat, and it will have a massive bearing on your healing. A simple rule of thumb with your nutrition is to ask 2 questions. Is this hurting my brain? Or is this helping my brain? Know that there is a direct link between what you eat and how you feel. As I studied the effects of good nutrition, then implemented what I learned, my mental clarity went up. The choices became about my brain, not my waist size. I noticed patterns of symptoms being triggered when I ate badly. Certain foods, even healthy ones, would trigger migraines or brain fog. So I suggest you start to become mindful of what works for your body. Using a journal can be a fantastic tool. Whatever level of concussion you have experienced, what you put into your body fuels it. More importantly, it fuels your brain. Your food can either lead you on a roller coaster of highs and lows or help your cognition. Be mindful that when you are changing your nutrition, you need to notice what works for your body. In the beginning, I wish I had known what an impact a concussion has on the digestive system, because I would have avoided eating loaves of bread, sugar, and potato chips. But there is a reason we do this, because high carbohydrate foods increase tryptophan, and this calms us down. Yet, in my personal experience, we don't need the brain to run any slower. When I started following concussion nutrition, I used previous knowledge of the glycemic index and food intolerances to construct a plan. It was slow going, as I used trial and error to see what worked for my brain. To fast track your healing, I would recommend following the Brain Warriors Way diet created by Dr. Amen and his wife Tana Amen. This book shows different brain types and a full overview if you want to heal fast. And if you're a foodie, as I'm not really, Tana Amen has also written a cookbook, The Brain Warriors Way, which shows you how to create brain healthy meals. Tool: beware leaky gut. Up to 3 weeks after a traumatic brain injury, your gut is leaky. This can cause nausea, bloating, and stomach pain. You may find that you are craving sugar, which can be a major roadblock in getting your brain firing again. In the early stages of your head injury for gut repair, you may want to focus on the following: clear soups or broths, full fat, no added sugar Greek yogurt, but really be careful if you have any sort of dairy intolerance, gelatin, no sugar, which has amino acids to help heal the gut lining, mashed or well-cooked vegetables, low sugar protein powder, and slow cooked meat. These foods are softer on the gut and contain a lot of nutrients. If you think of transitioning a baby onto solid foods, these are the foods that will help, soft and easy to digest. Protein is packed with amino acids that help the neurons to dance happily in your brain. Tool: water. About 75 to 80% of the brain is made up of water. Dehydration as small as 2% can have a negative effect on brain function. It can also exacerbate pain, which is a motivator to drink more if we know water will help. Dehydration and a loss of sodium and electrolytes can cause acute changes in memory and attention. Each day, make sure you are hitting at least 8 glasses of pure water to help brain function. And if you don't like the taste of water, try the following: add stevia-based flavor drops, drink it in the form of herbal teas, add sliced cucumber or mint, or add lemon juice. Get a large water bottle to track your consumption. Tool: why you need breakfast. One thing I didn't do well in the beginning was eat breakfast consistently because I felt unwell. As soon as I understood the dynamics of blood sugars on brain health, I didn't miss breakfast again. When I skipped eating in the morning, I would be sniffing in the pantry for toast and butter before midday. Feeding your brain the right foods is key for recovery. Breakfast can be looked upon as breaking the fast. So whether you eat at 6 a.m. or 12 p.m., the first meal sets your blood sugars for the day. Adding protein to this meal will help to stabilize your energy and mood. And this may look like an omelette with vegetables, or a protein powder smoothie with berries. Or you may have poached eggs with vegetables on a very high fiber or low carbohydrate bread. Keep your blood sugars stable. Avoid hypoglycemia. Whether you're a brain banger or not, when we don't eat for our period, our blood glucose drops. And this condition is called hypoglycemia, which is basically low blood sugar. And the symptoms are very similar to the side effects of concussion. Some of the symptoms are headaches and migraine, brain fog, insomnia, inability to concentrate, shakiness, anger, irritability, palpitations, racing thoughts, blurred vision, anxiety, panic attacks, mental confusion, depression, and lack of energy and motivation. When we eat a lot of sugar, including fruit and processed carbohydrate, our energy spikes and then drops out. When blood sugars are low, we experience a wide range of emotions from sad to angry. For anyone with a head injury, stabilizing your blood sugars is key. What you eat is directly impacting your brain health. There are foods that will make you feel good and foods that won't, but understanding basic nutrition will allow you to make better choices. The glycemic index is a standard tool to measure how quickly food becomes sugar in the bloodstream. By eating low GI, we can control the blood sugars and help the brain. Tool, boot sugar. When blood sugars are too high or are fluctuating between low blood sugar and high blood sugar, this leads to activation of microglia, the brain's immune cells. This directly leads to an inflammatory cascade in the brain or neuroinflammation. Sugar and processed carbohydrates that quickly turn to sugar in the bloodstream can contribute to inflammation in your brain. It is also very addictive, which causes you to overeat. When we know that the brain is searching for a little high, and this euphoria will leave you more symptomatic, it is a great motivator to get off the sweet and focus on whole foods. Too much fruit in your diet, as these turn into fructose, another form of sugar, will also lead to overstimulation. If your system is deregulated, you may feel as if you don't want to eat. In this instance, utilize broths and a protein powder supplement to keep feeding your brain. The best case scenario is to aim for 3 meals per day, which consist of protein, fat, and a good carbohydrate source. If you are hungry, add in 2 low glycemic index snacks. Remember that if you're not feeding your brain properly, it will not function as well. And within the book, there is a list of foods that spike blood sugars quickly and also foods that will help. Tool, gluten. It may be worth eliminating. Gluten is a group of proteins found in wheat, barley, and rye. We know that after a brain injury, up to 3 weeks later, the gut permeability has increased. However, many people benefit from switching to a gluten-free diet. One of these proteins, gliadin, can cause adverse health effects in some people. The digestive system performs several very important functions in your body. In your digestive tract, your body breaks down food and absorbs nutrients into your bloodstream. If you have any sort of bowel issue, you may find a gluten-free diet is beneficial. Tool, food intolerances. Track, food is mood. Keeping a diary alongside your symptoms can be a fantastic way to notice how the food is working in your body. Note down what you eat and then rate your concussion symptoms out of 10, 10 being the worst. The key is to notice the link between your nutrition and your symptoms. For example, using different breakfasts. Food diary, yogurt and berries. Symptoms, increased headaches, 8 out of 10. Fatigued by 10 a.m., 9 out of 10. Eggs on high fiber bread, headaches, 6 out of 10. Fatigued by 12. 6 out of 10. So looking at these two examples, we can see that the eggs on the high fiber bread is lessening the symptoms and lessening the fatigue. This is really important to do it for yourself because some foods may not work for you as well. So work on your symptoms, not just your taste buds. Tool, foods that increase intracranial pressure. The pressure inside your skull when you have a brain injury can be overwhelming. Believe me, I've been there too. But there are proven foods that increase this pressure, which are really important to be mindful of. Like food intolerances, you may want to rate your symptoms out of 10 and use this food diary to see what certain foods do to your overall well-being, especially your headaches and the pain in your skull. So foods that increase intracranial pressure include sugar, an excess of vitamin A rich foods, so sweet potato, pumpkin, carrot, and beef liver are some of them, aged meat and cheeses, alcohol, caffeine. This can be a very big trigger for some people, creating pressure in the skull. Excessive salt, normally through eating highly processed foods and drinking soft drinks, and pickled foods. Tool, supplements. Everybody's body is different. What may works for you may not work for another. I personally found these supplements to be very effective. Omega-3 fish oils, which are proven to help with inflammation, cognition, and memory. L-glutamine to help with gut repair. Magnesium glycinate to help with muscle relaxation and sleep. Branch-chain amino acids, which can improve brain function. Ginkgo biloba, which is shown to help brain function and cognition. Melatonin to help with sleep. Phosphatidylserine, which is shown to improve brain cell communication. N-acetylcysteine, which has been shown to repair brain cells. There are many others that can help with mental health, but always check with your practitioner as they may affect the medication you are currently taking. And in the book, there are some ideas of foods to add to your trolley as well. And it's remembering that any medication that you are on at the moment that is helping you is just a tool. So staying on your medication, talking to your practitioner, and then starting to add in nutritious food, beneficial supplements. This creates a pillow for your healing. It's remembering that everything that you are being offered at the moment is just a tool, and you need to find out what works for you. So thank you for listening to Growth Happens in the Dirt. My book is currently available on Amazon in paperback form and in Kindle, and I really hope it helps you or a member of your family. So have a great day and keep shining.